The United States of Horror may contain some graphic or explicit content. This is not suitable for all ages. Listener discretion is advised. When do you want to start?
I say right now. So, hello everyone.
Started like 30 seconds ago, dude.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
No, it did not.
It's still recording.
Man, I suck at this.
Shut up, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff.
Oh, God.
So everyone knows me. I'm Jeff. Anyone else?
This
Hi.
is rock, paper, scissors.
No, I'm going. This is Kaylee. Yeah.
That's what I got interrupted for. This is Brinton.
And I'm Jeff.
We said that.
Shut up, Jeff. Alright, so we have two major topics to talk about today. Would you like to go first, Brinton?
I did want to say, too, sorry, before we get into it, we're kind of continuing on Arizona, just because my topic went a little long last week, and we knew it was going to be full of lots of information, so we're kind of splitting it up into a sort of part 2.
Yeah, we're keep talking about Arizona for you guys.
All right, cool. So this is a story that a lot of people should be familiar with, unless you're Kaylee. She wasn't familiar with it until recently.
Or people out of state, maybe.
Or people out of state. You know, it's fine. So we're going to talk about the Hacienda Inn, which is located in downtown Prescott, right on the square. For those of you who don't know, that's a square in the middle of downtown Prescott.
Whoa! What?
Mind blown.
I know, it's crazy. So I had written notes, but I'm going to go ahead and take some of that out because it sounds like a book report now compared to last week. So I'm just going to start with the fact that with Prescott being over 150 years old, there's a lot of history in just Prescott alone, a lot of old buildings and a lot of ghost stories and a lot of experiences from different people throughout Prescott and
the
Tri-City area, visitors, tourists. We did not get a chance to chase down anybody specifically that's had any directly related experiences with the Hacienda Inn, but we are going to talk about the general story, which takes place around the 1930s, I believe it was.
Oh, it was right around when Ruth Jett moved to Arizona. I'm just saying.
Nice. I love the spot fill. That was great.
Yeah.
That's where we continue to part 2.
Can we talk about how cool the building is really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I mean, everybody can.
I know, but I have the story. You guys can talk about the building.
Okay, so we actually went down recently just to kind of take a look around because we kind of knew what we were going to be talking about. So you get, what is that road?
Wow.
You guys suck.
The main one.
I'm just going to let it sit on you for a minute.
No, I'm cutting all of this out anyway.
Okay. Gurley Street, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh.
Gray Street Grill.
That's so random.
That's right next across the street.
Gurley Street Grill!
There's a grill right across the street from it.
Now we have to leave it in. All right, it's on Gurley Street.
Anyway, it's off one of the main roads going into the square. And as you pull up, you see this beautiful big red brick tower. And you can just tell that it's an older building.
It was built in 1927.
It was an original hotel. And it still is. They just revamped it.
Yeah, and so you go inside, and it's really, the interior is so beautiful. We'll definitely post pictures.
Old-fashioned piano, bars. They have an old-fashioned elevator with a hand crank and everything.
While I was there, I was honestly feeling very hot and heavy. But that may have been the stairs.
Well,
you might have ran up to the 4th floor, so...
I'm just saying, using the restroom was very confined, and I was really confused because they have a powder room separate from the actual public restrooms. So I was wondering if there was something in there that we didn't get to see or check out either.
Wait, what?
Well, there's a powder room,
Up there next to the pianos, There was a powder room.
I should have went in there.
I know, but I that's why I went over there. Then you guys told me the bathrooms were downstairs, and I was like, oh, well, then what's the powder room for?
I was busy entertaining a 2-year-old up and down the stairs.
Well,
so.
you know what was like right down the road with the square? Bars and stuff. So A lot of times, people would go to the bars, put on makeup in the powder room, and go straight to the bar. Right?
I don't know. Is that what it is?
I think we
the good old days, right? And the Cowboys, they go to the bar.
Shut up, Jeff. People are going to catch on to that, and you're going to be very sad.
Yeah. They don't know if I'm an idiot or I'm a genius.
It's a beautiful building surrounded by other beautiful buildings that were all built around the same time.
There's a gazebo in the back.
There's a gazebo in the back.
Really cool old elevator. We took a ride.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. There's no door, so you see everything as you're going up.
Slightly terrifying.
So, and something on our agenda too was to possibly stay there.
Yes.
Sometime before the end of May, because it's not too expensive to stay there. You just have to reserve it about 2 to 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Which is why we haven't done it yet. That, and I think one of us is scared.
Well...
Not me.
You be the judge.
I want to hug a ghost.
Okay, so basically, there are 3 different ghosts that have been reported in the Hacienda. One of them is a story of a 6-year-old boy who likes to tug on the shirts of women in the hotel's laundry room. It's a little side story. There's not a whole lot of information other than that small little cut out of the reports. There's also a ghost called the Night Watchman. He wanders the halls in an old Western-style outfit. Specifically, he's been seen wearing a brown overcoat to complement his cowboy outfit. I didn't write that. I vamped a little bit, but I didn't know how else to put the overcoat over a Western look. Being in the 1930s, back then, it was a Western town anyway, so it's believed that he wanders the halls. Both of them have not been reported to cause harm or be dangerous in any way. And then the third one I want to talk about, which is the one that most everybody knows about, is the Ghost of Faith. And that actually interested me the most because the room that you can stay in is the room where this story takes place. Faith and her newlywed husband checked into the Hacienda, and they stayed in room 426, which is on the 4th floor. We didn't get a chance to see it or know exactly where it's at, but we know you can stay in the room overnight. The story with Faith, it goes that the husband leaves to get cigarettes and does not return to Faith. Faith initially had waited 3 days before the worry and heartbreak became too much, and she hung herself in the room, which... That's a mystery in itself to me because there's no reports of anything or what happened to the husband or that story. There might be some speculation.
Or you look up old history, like did anyone die here? They might have some sort of thing. They have some sort of hanging, but they never went into detail about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's part of my speculation too that, being in the Old West, there's a good chance that he went to go get cigarettes, ran into somebody, had some trouble, got shot.
Well, I'm wondering, and I don't know if there's a lot of truth to this. We'll probably have to cover this on a different episode. But supposedly, there were a lot of underground tunnels in that time. So there was a lot of human trafficking, things like that. So who knows, maybe he went in to go get a drink, ran into the wrong people, and ended up being shipped off for...
Yeah, he got shot,
trafficking.
shipped off. Mm-hmm. He could just ran away with some...
Which is very possible. And for me, too, because, I love ghost stories, and, I'm a full believer in certain experiences, but there's also the speculation of just a small conspiracy to the point that it's just a story to create hype for the hotel.
Yeah.
Which is always possible because it's so straightforward. There's not a whole lot of detail. When you try to research it, it's just the main story.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure we're going to end up covering a lot of hotels, but something I've noticed listening to a lot of paranormal podcasts, most of the hotels have a very similar story. Mm-hmm. Newlywed couple goes into the hotel. For some reason or other, the husband or the wife get killed tragically or don't leave and never come back, and then all of a sudden
the other one is like suicide, and then they end up haunting that place.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons why I want to stay in the room, because it's one of those situations that I just want to find out, because my mind is leaning more towards the fact that it's an old hotel. They can throw any story they want at it, and because just to get that one room, people are staying in it all the time. So there's, no matter what time of year it is, they have a continuous flow of people because of that story. So I think it's definitely worth staying there just to find out in general. If I have to go by myself, I will.
No, we'll go.
All right.
And then inside, too, I noticed on the walls they had a newspaper clipping with a photograph, and the photographer claims to have caught a ghost on camera. But to me, it just looks like a really low...
resolution, anything like a quick snap?
No, a low shutter speed.
Okay.
And someone running with, like, a sheet. Seriously, we'll post that for sure.
Oh, that's right. You got pictures, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, who knows? I mean, that's something to me that I would really like to...
actually do.
And the story does go a little bit further. Faith is rumored to be seen lingering in the hotel, still awaiting the return of her newlywed husband. But Faith is not entirely peaceful. She has been reported by guests and employees to give men nightmares, and she admires and stalks female guests. Again, it falls under the same speculation of there's not, and even I even asked the hotel employees that were there if there was anybody around that worked here that may have had an experience, and they just handed me the pamphlet of the story.
So they don't try to cover it up. They definitely market it, which again to me is kind of like a red flag.
Yeah.
Then again, they could be like under a contract not to say anything at all because they can't give their opinion. That's why they have to have you pay for that room and then experience it yourself. That's why it's kind of iffy.
And I think if we do stay there, we have to go in with the state of mind of we're just staying in a hotel room.
Yeah.
We can't, because if we expect something, because I saw paranormal activity in my mind when I got home that night. I started making some stuff up. I mean, and I knew it was me, but at the same time, I didn't believe anything other than there's a ghost in here.
Yeah.
So it's all about a state of mind that you go into. I'm not saying there's not a ghost there, but there's could be some other reports that are true, but I definitely want to test the theory of this place.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you have people saying that such and such happened, there's always that question of, okay, are they telling the truth or are they just hyping it up? There's always that small part of you that wants to believe that there's something else,
Yeah, and I think we should definitely ask, as people are listening to this, if they want to comment their opinions or anything like that. Because like I said, Hacienda is pretty well known in this area, so if they have any ideas or a link that they could send us for further research, because like I said, I was online for quite a while and all I could find were the main story. I couldn't find anything further or
nothing that elaborated,
nothing records, and nothing to go past just the page of the hotel basically. So if there is anything, feel free to comment or send us a message and let us know. So is there anything else on this that you guys found interesting? Or
I just always thought hotels are really awesome, really cool, and especially in our own hometown, it's close to home.
Yeah.
Especially how old it is, like you said, it's how old, like 100 whatever?
It was built in 1927, so we're coming up on the 100-year mark.
Yeah, in the centennial.
Yeah.
And like there's so many cemeteries literally like across the street almost from it, and like half of the town burned down one day.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stories that we could cover there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The Hacienda for me was just like the highlight. When you type in Prescott, it's usually top of the list.
One of the ghost stars. That and the square.
And the Elks Theater and everything too. So it's a cool place to visit for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful inside. The interior design and decorations alone are beautiful. There's a restaurant inside. I think it's called like the Peacock Room or something like that.
Yeah. I've eaten there. It's actually pretty good too. It's open to the public.
Food ghosts. Right down my alley.
Yes, I love food. So in general, though, I mean, if you ever have a chance to visit the Prescott Square, which is a square in the middle of Prescott.
There's a big, beautiful old courthouse. Lots of beautiful trees.
A lot of beer, alcohol, booze.
I guess.
Coming from the one who doesn't
drink.
None of us drink. But
None of us?
Okay.
You're our designated drinker.
An occasional margarita, thank you very much. Or mixed.
Jeff and I just made eye contact. We say nothing further.
You plead the fifth on this matter.
Plead the 5th, 6th, 8th.
Wow.
Just like her shots. Wait, what?
Cutting that too.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is an intervention.
Remember who edits this?
Don't edit me out, please, again.
I left some of your stuff in last time.
Some of it. Like 2 words.
The shut up Jeff parts.
Yeah. It's okay. Much. I did Brinton down too.
Don't worry. She kept her whole story. Wait, what's your story? Oops.
This is Kaylee. Here's my story.
Here's my story. Thanks for listening, guys.
See See you next week.
They haven't told me Jeff's story, so I'm excited.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. It's going to be
I don't have
crazy.
seatbelts.
It's going to be so crazy. Actually, it's not.
I'm sitting in a
that
camping
crazy.
chair.
Ghost dog. This is All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Something's scratching at the door.
So, what I'm doing, what I thought I've always been fascinated with since I was a little kid, and you probably heard of it before, but the Phoenix Lights. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, especially in Arizona, know the story of it.
Not that
Phoenix
slow.
Lights, or the Lights over Phoenix. Pretty simple, right? It was a series of different sightings of UFO in Nevada, the Quad City area, and Phoenix. It was on March 13, 1997. So, you're like, what, 4 back then?
That was a very good guess, Jeff. I'm very proud of you. 4 years old, yes.
You were
Good.
4? How old was I? Hurry, quick, think.
4?
No, I'm a year older than him.
You're born 93?
Yeah.
Oh,
make him 5.
Technically, yeah.
Wait, you're
Because-
92? Oh, yeah. Okay.
What? No.
What?
I was born in 94.
94. That's
Math.
wrong way.
And that's why we're doing podcasts.
So,
Everybody,
anyways.
everybody's gonna find out that I'm stupid.
Not as stupid as me, trust me.
That's true. You always have Jeff to back you up.
Yay!
Shut up, Jeff. Wait. So, this night, there was 2,000 or so reports and phone calls of strange lights in the sky in the whole state of Arizona. That's from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. People saw V-shaped lights heading southward from Nevada all the way down. I always found that really weird and peculiar. How like that many people called and no one no idea what it was exactly. So it first started happening around 7:30. A man reported seeing a V-shaped object in Nevada in Henderson. He says it was about the size of a Boeing 747. So that's from what he could tell, and it sounds like rushing wind, like a really windy day. It just went past him, and it has 6 lights.
Sound effects.
Is that what wind sounds like,
Yeah.
Jeffrey?
It does now, mofo.
No, UFO, Jeff.
UFO, mofo.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the shape of a V, so everyone's like, oh, it probably was a Boeing or something else. There was the next major sighting happened in Paulden, Arizona, right where we are right now.
Don't tell people that.
You need to know where we are.
We talked about it last
know.
We
episode.
tell them where we live, right, Prescott.
Shut up, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. A former police officer around 8:15 allegedly saw a cluster of reddish and orange lights in the sky, comprising 4 lights together and then a 5th one in the tip, so like another V shape. He tried to drive home very quick while kind of following it behind it to get his binoculars and spy on it, get his phone or whatever he was trying to record with. And then by the time he got outside, it was gone. So he's like, how come I could follow it the whole time I was driving home from Chino, but then as soon as I went inside and gone out, it was gone. So it made kind of no sense how it would just go in and out like that so fast. Next was in Prescott Valley, around 8:17, 8:20. So literally 3-4 minutes later, from pretty much where the guy got home, people in Prescott and Prescott Valley started seeing that same V shape, started going over the town, past Prescott, and then right over Prescott Valley. A lot of people were looking up outside the window because they noticed it seemed a lot darker in their house. And a lot of the sky was dark. All you saw was black. And you saw those V shape above you. So it was passing over the sky, blacking out the stars.
For me, what gets me about that is, for one, it was a former police officer.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, most police officers that you meet are no BS kind of people.
Yeah.
They're not the kind of person to sit and call something in because they know that it's going to waste someone's time if it's not serious.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a little bit validating, because here's an officer or former officer sees something strange and feels strongly enough about it to actually call it in.
Yeah. And a lot of people just try to get their, video camera out and record it as soon as they could, but as soon as they did, it was gone.
Yeah.
It happened within a minute or two, and most people were just dumbfounded because they could see the whole sky was black except for that V shape, and the lights were going from white to red to yellow to orange, and it was either all somewhat of a certain pattern. So it was never just flashing 3 at a time, or like most planes do, they have a certain pattern, but this one did not. It's a pattern, guys.
Shut up, Jeff.
Inside joke. Oh yeah.
Wait, what?
It's like dealing with a preschooler.
But yeah, it slowly started going, southern. So imagine Nevada, right? Nevada's there. So it went to Paulden, Prescott Valley. People can't see me what I'm doing right now, but they're going. It's like a Z shape. It's like doing a Z shape. So
Don't make me snap my fingers in a Z formation.
Like a Z formation. Yeah.
Now you have an image.
So why would and like I'll talk about this later, but think about the Z shape while I talk about this.
Z shape.
So I was moving slowly from northwest to northeast, back to northwest, southwest, and then started going down towards Dewey. 6 people saw him, like 6 people hanging out outside having a bonfire, saw him on the sky, and they all weren't, probably were drunk as Dewey. But still, we're gonna get hate from Dewey.
All 10 of them.
Yeah, but most of the people in Dewey then.
All 5.
Yeah, but pretty much most of them looked up and they saw it heading from Prescott Valley in Prescott, and they saw it go over them. As it blacked out the sky, they saw the stars disappear. They saw the bee go above them. So, and then there's one family that lives kind of by, I think it was like Anthem, on the way, almost on the outskirts of Phoenix. They could actually see the flying at them towards them all the way from Prescott and Prescott Valley. So it just keeps going south and south and south. And this family literally saw it go from tiny little dot, slowly get bigger and bigger, and eventually went over them.
So does it seem like it's getting lower too? Is that
yes?
Okay.
And it seems like it's getting lower. So a lot, like most people are like, okay, it's probably like an airport, like airport's like down the way in Phoenix. So they're like, it's probably just some, like the other guy said, it's Boeing. But then it stopped over. It's a suburb. Turned right, went right down like a little square, went back up where the other family was originally at, and then went. And
there's actually footage of this online, isn't there?
There was, but there are not that many good quality ones, and
it was the 90s.
It was the 90s, so they only have like 2 or 3 good videos, but then people are gonna say what is it, or they don't really know what it is, or just lights. But pretty much, it ended up looking like a carpenter square for the family. Do you guys know what that is?
Eventually, it was like a house, like a shape of a house.
It was more like that, and then it started going like this. So it was like different V shapes and different.
Was it turning into T shapes then? Kind
of T shapes, and also there was like 8 different ways it was going. So it was like more options than just the V. So it started getting more lights, more like expanding in a way. It was this family said it was.
So it was almost like a formation changing.
Formation changing. That's what this family said. So it was just this. Couple families reported it. Them and the whole neighborhood, because by that time they got outside. They had enough time to go outside, and a whole neighborhood was able to watch it pass over a mountain, heading towards the airport, and then a couple of them on the other, like down the road, said it went past the mountain, past like the air base, like it kept going that way. But then they said, okay, it's probably just an airplane going to the airport. Well, then it started going north again.
So it changed directions again.
So it changed directions again back towards Prescott, and then pretty much went around, like to the left of the airport and down past it towards Tucson.
Almost
south.
like it avoided the airport?
Like it avoided the airport.
That's weird.
So a lot of people are like, maybe it was just some sort of training thing or whatever it was. But that was the major sighting in that time. Was just from Nevada all the way down past Phoenix to Tucson, and then no one ever saw it again. And like they were thinking maybe it was going to Mexico, but why would it go around the airport? Why would it go back and forth and make make like a square around Phoenix and go around certain towns?
Weird.
Or like why would they go from
it's not
Nevada
a normal flight pattern
to like down right, left, and then down like the Z shape I was talking about? Why would they make a Z shape?
Yeah, because any flight pattern is going to be direct and to the point. It's going to be a beeline for their location. They're not going to. Unless it's like a tourist plane, but even then, they're not going to be like flying across state either.
And when's the last time you saw a V-shaped Boeing 757, whatever it is?
V-shaped plane.
I lost my train of thought.
When was it? Have you ever seen one go back and like change direction and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as it did, and as big as it was, and it just doesn't add up to anything normal or typical that we see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so a lot of people thought UFO. They said it has to be some sort of giant UFO. Now, after the people reported this and the news started covering it, of course, the Army base like, oh, it's just some fighter planes or just some test runs of planes, and they're flying in a V shape the whole time to make sure make sure they could keep a pattern for as long as they could, and that's why they did the Z shapes. It was like a good exercise. But then they asked the Army base. This guy asked the Army base. He called him and said, "Hey, is there any report?" Like 10 minutes after the mayor and the governor said this, and they said, well, we weren't running anything that night. But then a week later or something like that, they changed their mind and said, oh yeah, we were running something. I just forgot about it. So it was just kind of...
That's weird. No,
inconspicuous.
You don't
Don't
forget about that.
Even the governor...
You forget about a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, even the governor at one time said it was kind of out of this world. So that was kind of weird. But, the Army said it was just training stuff. And or it probably was some people from Prescott. They have their own, airport. So they thought that was just them training, doing some practice runs. But, no one could ever find out for sure what it was. Most people just assume UFOs.
Because the explanations that were given didn't make sense.
Yeah, especially last minute. And then some between the news, the Army, and the airport, they all just didn't line up with each other right away.
Didn't they make a movie about what happened?
They made a couple movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a few.
They made like 2 documentaries, what they think actually happened. Then they had like a horror one. Then they just released this new scary one, which is not true. But it could be a good concept of what some people thought they saw that night.
Kind of like The Fourth Kind.
I've been picturing Independence Day this whole time, when the ship's coming over the city.
Yeah, that's pretty much what a lot of people in Prescott
It's been a
Valley...
while since I watched that.
We're watching it tonight.
Thanks for interrupting me.
Sorry.
So yeah, pretty much most of the people in Prescott Valley and on the way to Phoenix could actually look up in the sky and see it all black except for that V-shaped lights.
It is interesting. Well, you have to think, too, in Phoenix, with how much lights are in the city anyways, there's no such thing as stars out there.
No, so it's probably a lot harder to,
imagine
to recognize.
Imagine no smog or clouds, though.
That's true, there is a lot.
Imagine having this thing black with that V.
That is interesting.
That's why a lot of people are like, that's weird, especially out here in Chino, Paulden, whatever. Imagine pure black with just that shape. And then see it, so they get bigger, and then go behind you and get smaller.
That would be pretty sketchy.
And you see 6 dots and it turns to 3 towards the end. You only see the 2.
Well,
you can see it's like an actual plane. You actually see it moving, but it takes up most of the sky when you're looking up.
I feel like that happened recently in Prescott, though.
That was. I know that there was one like that, but I thought it was the rocket, wasn't it?
Well, there was that too.
Well, there's been a couple more sightings in 2007, 2008. There was some. There's also 2014 and 2016, and one this year so far.
This, 2019?
Yes.
Of the V shape?
Of some sort of V shape, but it went away. It was only 4 or 5, 5 dots, but then 3 of them almost went away. So people thought it was flares or something, but they can't prove it. They thought it was just in the neighborhood. It was in Prescott Valley. They probably thought it was just some people pulling pranks.
I remember on Facebook very recently, a bunch of people posted a very similar video of lights flying in a V shape, and it was here in Prescott that
there was also one. Would I say 2014?
Yeah, I think you said 2014, 2016.
Yeah. The 2014 is another one that a lot of people out here at least believe. That's why I thought it's more plausible too. But yeah, that's where a lot of people think they saw it again. But there was 2007, 2008. They saw the shapes, except they were just hovering. Turns out they're just some guy with flares and messing with people. And so he got arrested and in big trouble for that.
So that was proved. Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of people think that was actually the government hiring a guy to do that. That way everyone calms down about the UFOs. Because
conspiracy.
Yeah, conspiracy thing. And then that's when we started seeing them again in 2014, 16, and 19. Yeah. So it was almost every 2 or so years.
Well, then I remember also seeing that rocket launch that he was talking about.
Well, that was from
I thought we were getting nuked. Yeah.
A lot of people.
It was crazy.
It was.
There was a couple, yeah.
It was. That was insane.
You look in the sky and there's this big bright light with no real source, and you literally see people pulled over on the side of the road. Everyone's staring at this thing. You're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Other people are seeing it. But what the heck is it?
Yeah.
And then it's why the next day did they decide to wait to announce that it was some rocket?
I knew about one of them.
Well, not everyone knew about.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Only if you go to certain sites, on certain news sites. I listen to my radio at work, so that's how I knew about it. But a lot of my coworkers the next day, they thought we were getting attacked, so they didn't come in. In the bunker with their guns. I was like,
Doomsday! Yes!
There's a lot of doomsday preppers out
I'm
here.
excited for zombie apocalypse.
where were you,
It'll be
Ryan?
fun.
Oh, I was at home relaxing.
I want
Oh, that's
Walking
scary.
Dead zombies though. I don't want like
The other one?
like World War Z zombies.
That would be scary.
Left 4 Dead zombies were those.
I know I could survive Walking Dead zombies. I couldn't survive fast zombies.
No.
But yeah.
But no, that is interesting. One of the concepts that I've always thought of too is like a lot of if you think about everything from Bigfoot to aliens to conspiracies to paranormal, a lot of it was like extremely popular and it was extremely active in between the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
as technology's gotten better, we're seeing less and less actually.
Yeah.
Or at least good cover up of it.
Or better cover-ups.
It's probably because they're able to see our videos and all the stupid things that we do, and so they're like, yeah, no, we're not having any part of that.
Right.
Duck
I honestly,
faces.
let's say the aliens are up there and they're like, oh man, this new generation would really be on it. I mean, like if we came down, there's no escaping. Because people back in the 90s, they would watch it and then be like, oh, I got to go get my 30-pound camera real quick.
Let me put this new VHS
I got to
tape.
put a VHS tape in, plug it in. Okay, record. Oh, it's gone.
Stacy's first birthday. Oh, we can record over that.
So, I think that's interesting too. Like aside from the conspiracy theory, because I know the government will cover it up, but from my standpoint of people always question, well, it's happening less and less, and you have to think technology is getting better and better.
Yeah.
So was it always like that, or is it just now recently? And that's why I personally never really fully believed in aliens. I've always been an alien skeptic. I know we're horror, whatever podcast, alien podcast, and I don't really believe in aliens. But I remember I saw them when I was driving to Phoenix on that night. And ever since then, I've always been a little curious about it and always found, like, I believed in it just a little bit. Because I remember us driving down to Phoenix, and there's this big old road, like Black Canyon Highway, you know, that little turn where everyone's like crazy. You have to really pay attention. You have to go like 75. And if you go anywhere off at all, you go off the cliff.
It's gotten safer since then.
Yeah, it got a lot safer. But remember, this was like when I was like 5.
Good
or
math.
4, something like that, right?
Sure. I was 3.
I just remember I was really little. And I remember it being really late. And I remember I was falling asleep, and I look up, and I see the V shape. And I thought I was like dreaming or something, and I remember it kind of turning around towards me, and I was like, what the hell? That's kind of weird. And I saw it turn back around the opposite way, so I only saw the 2 dots. Saw it like kind of like fly away very fast and come right back, like back up. With the only 2 dots, so I saw it like kind of turn, go forward, went back facing towards Phoenix the way we were driving, and then just speed off really fast. So
Like they got confused, backed up, realized they weren't going the right way.
whoa, no! Remember I was
Stop and ask for directions.
Remember I was talking about this. Remember I was talking about the Z shape, right?
Yeah.
Z shape. Yes, you said to think about it.
Yes.
Think
'Cause
about it. Take a second.
I mentioned it twice now. That's what they did. They went down, left, right, down, and they went like 2 of those Z's. I didn't picture it until I started like looking up more info about it, because I'm like, I saw them do like a weird like little turns. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my god, that's a Z shape. That's the shape I was talking about, the exact same way. And then next thing you know, they went sped off towards Phoenix. I remember seeing this for only lasting like 2 minutes. And I'm like, there's no way an airplane can go that fast. I remember talking to my mom, like, did you see that, Mom? And she was, they're too busy driving. So like, oh yes, honey, that's nice. You know how my mom is.
90s parents. That's cool.
That sounds like a good meal deal. And I just remember waking up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, was that really a dream? Did I dream that? And then that's when we were watching the news, and everyone's, freaking out about the aliens, and one of my uncles, and,
Oh god, I can only imagine.
yeah, they all were freaking out, like, aliens are coming!
Well, your dad's a pretty firm believer.
Yeah, he was crazy about that.
He wants to be a guest, actually, so maybe one day we'll phone him.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna have to talk to him. Do you think he remembers?
Maybe. I mean,
We could try calling him.
That's the thing. I don't remember. I just remember my mom. I don't know if it was with Dave. All right. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea to have him talk with us soon, and maybe have him start and next episode. Have him tell a story if he has one. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be. I can call him this week, and we can probably get him in line for the start of the next episode.
I'm sure he would love that.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Especially about aliens. He's crazy about aliens. Anyway, yeah.
Phoenix Lights. That is interesting. There's a lot of conspiracy.
Yeah. So that's I guess my 2 cents. It was just from what I've experienced and what I've seen and heard growing up. I've seen like different people's reactions, especially around here. You can talk to anyone on the street around here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw it," and like they go crazy about it with some people.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, middle of a farm out in the middle of nowhere, you think there's some crazy farmer. But
That's fair.
I've seen it for myself, and I was never really an alien person. That's why I always found the story so fascinating.
Well, it leaves you questioning a lot.
Yeah,
you know, how can so many people see the same thing? Like you kind of touched on. The explanations just weren't enough. They were bupkis, you know?
My question is how it like dropped off the face of the earth practically. I mean, something of that magnitude, and it just, it's not talked about anymore.
We went through Tucson, through Mexico, and then like, they said, "Oh, it really doesn't happen anymore. It's all movie now. It's all fake." It's like it wasn't a serious thing that could have actually happened, and now it's just media.
Well, I'm gonna give you something you're not used to. Thank you, Jeff, for that interesting story. I've heard it before, but it's nice to put it into perspective and
get more details.
Yeah,
because Phoenix Lights. Oh yeah, I heard about that, and that.
Yeah, that's a cool movie or idea.
I appreciate that. That's really cool. And thanks, Brinton, for the Hacienda.
Thanks for
that riveting story.
Yeah, I think if you guys want to hear more about Arizona, just let us know. We have tons of like stories like that around our area,
and we are going to try to cover state to state. We're going to do different areas, different topics, so it won't be as knowledgeable, I'm air quoting, as the other podcasts, because we know Arizona, we know Prescott pretty well. There's a lot that we could cover in Prescott alone, let alone the rest of Arizona. So we're going to try to get out of our comfort zone and go state to state.
And that's why if we get some stories from you guys, we can look into it, we can research, get some facts, get different people's opinions, and we would love to just share it with you guys.
Yeah, shout out to an old pal, Richard, for actually sending in a recommendation. I'm going to have to look into it and potentially cover that story.
Do you want to say what the story is potentially, or leave it up?
I want everyone to wait and see.
All right, sounds good. Then I will give you guys a sneak peek on next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I have some ideas that I think will be really cool because I want to get into this too. Is the three of us, we always sit around and talk about this stuff. I mean, there's always at least one day that we hang out where we just talk about random conspiracy theories, scary stories, whatever it may be.
Love conspiracy theories.
Jeff is our conspiracy guy.
And I think I'm always listening to
true crime
podcasts throughout the week, and so I always have something true crime related, to talk about with the guys. And we've all been watching The Act, so that's something that
fascinates us.
Yeah.
Different people's
Criminal
opinions.
Minds. My favorite.
Murder for him, and we like
horror.
Well,
and then that's one of the degrees that I want to get in the future too, is criminal psychology. There's not a lot of it out in Prescott, but I know of people that work in Prescott and travel across state, and that's something I want to get into as well. So
that'd be pretty cool.
But I like the paranormal stuff and just the ability of something being there that you can't see. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily believe that they're harmful or the bad ones are around. I really think it's just a matter of perspective, or if they're good ones trying to get your attention, and the only way they know how to do it is to scratch you or stuff like that. And if they're bad, you're not going to hear about them because they won't leave people to talk about it. I it's believe, not like the movies.
I believe in good and bad and stuff, and there's some evil stuff out there, and that's why I believe more spiritual and evil in a person than aliens and
and we'll probably get past we'll probably even go beyond all that too, because we haven't talked about like the difference between this just aliens in general, space, the ocean is not necessarily paranormal. I'm sure there's some ghost stories out there, but there's it's full of mystery. So we're covering all of that
Bermuda
too.
Triangle.
Don't get me started on the Bermuda. I like the ocean a lot. So
yeah, it's so crazy how it's just.
I'm just gonna come out and say I think this will be a good topic to debate too. Is I don't believe in Bigfoot.
I don't really.
I think he's fun. Like, it's kind of like a movie. Like, it's an interesting concept, and I have a lot of fun, like, when I'm camping, like, to think that, you know, there could be something 9 foot tall.
You better keep your voice down. He's going to hear you and come kill us.
I'm sorry. I just, with the technology we have and the fact that, you know, the military alone can find somebody in another country and pinpoint their exact location, but we have no substantial footage of Bigfoot.
Yeah, but the amount of cover-up that the government does on top of that with Area 51 and everything else, come on.
I mean,
like, I believe he could have existed. Like, there was, like, kind of, like, there's people that were like
dead.
that.
Guys, we're going down a dangerous road.
I don't think so. You guys are defending him. That's fine. I'm not saying he's not out there.
We can talk about Bigfoot on a whole episode because there's no way that we can wrap this
Nebraska! Nebraska!
There's no way.
Okay, the only thing I was trying to say is so let me clarify. I don't necessarily not believe in Bigfoot. The probability for me is less likely compared to the ocean mysteries and the space mysteries.
Well, just like Loch Ness Monster, I truly believe in. But everyone's like, oh, you're
Jeff.
See, exactly. No one believes in Loch Ness Monster, but everyone believes in Sasquatch. I'm like, you really hear that about yourself right now, right? And
so
like,
in general, that's a future glimpse of what we're going to be doing. Just because we can cover more than these 3 topics, I think, and you know, I think it'd be a lot of fun to definitely get people involved outside of the 3 of us.
Pretty much whatever horror is to you, we will try to make it happen.
Yeah,
I guess.
And it bring 3 similar but also very different perspectives. Like for me personally, I think I love the idea of things. I love to believe. Or I love the beliefs that come out of certain things like Bigfoot or...
like folklore and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I love different conspiracy theories or just theories in general out there. Like, we're going to have to talk about the Flat Earth Society at one point.
Yes.
Because it fascinates me so much. And I'm not saying I'm a believer. Every time I say that to somebody, they get
it is fascinating. I mean,
Shut up, Jeff.
The world is not flat.
Shane Dawson covered it. We're going to cover it, too.
It's not flat. I mean, we have people looking at it right
it's a circle.
now.
Again, we don't need to get into it, but I'm just saying...
There's no corners. It's a circle.
It's a circle.
It's a velocity.
It's on a turtle, right?
Yes, we are
What
floating
did you guys
on
say?
a giant
A frisbee?
turtle.
What? What, like a U?
I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not.
We're gonna fall off the U?
I am
A
not.
giant space monster through the Earth, and it's a lost frisbee in the
I'm
neighbor's
not
yard
saying
now.
So
that I
we're on a
believe
Z. The Z I mentioned earlier. Came back around.
Awesome.
Oh gosh.
Now we have to have a blooper reel at least.
I'm just saying. I really enjoy hearing different stories that make me question what I believe is true.
Yeah.
What is solid and what is factual and what is tangible
And
versus
proof.
things that are unexplainable, things that question what we consider normal or
Beyond scientific.
Did you grow up like believing something, but then like something happens or someone shows you something and like it changes your whole perspective forever, and then like it starts building into a group, 100,000, million. Now it's like a whole society believes in this.
Yeah.
And believes in this, just like conspiracy, then Illuminati.
He's making a triangle with his hands.
They'll hear you.
They'll hear you, Jeff.
Hear me.
Well, if he
No, the
disappears, we know why.
But Illuminati. No.
Stop saying it.
Why? I'm part of them.
Oh,
Jeff.
Jeffrey, I don't want to die.
Jeff.
I'm not gonna die. You are. I'm part of the Illuminati. I'm
Anyway,
good.
so all of us have had our own experiences too, which is something we'll touch on.
Different.
Well, I think it defines the topics that we cover mostly. Like I like to cover the paranormal because I have a lot of personal paranormal experiences. True crime. I'm not sure if it's mainly just an interesting topic for you or if there's something driving you to really get connected with that.
It stems from my mom's interests. We grew up pretty much watching a lot of
True crime,
horror films,
Discovery channels, and stuff.
I wasn't allowed to
true
watch
crime.
stuff like that. So
We'd watch, those what is it called, unsolved mysteries.
It's all murder.
So
Cold case
cold
files.
case. We'd spend a lot of our time watching those true crime TV shows that show things that happened in real life, and I mean, a lot of crazy stuff has happened with my mom or our family, where somehow, some way we've been connected, even if it's not directly to
a murder.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then Jeff, he believes in conspiracies.
You know, I've seen a lot of, like you said, a lot of old shows. And most societies have a pivotal point where they either collapse or fall or something happens. And it's by some sort of group or some sort of underdog secretly running everything. Kind of like a mob. And that's always fascinated me, how a few people could literally control millions.
Well, I mean, that's on the surface, too, when you really think
that's just on the surface.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
you have the president, and then you have... I'm not going to get into it because I don't know the correct terms. I wasn't good in history class.
I could tell.
But, you know, you have the president,
up,
and then
Jeff.
you have the branches that monitor the president, and those are the set group of people that make decisions based on the people's voice, but you throw in the conspiracy stuff of, you know, like the...
bribery, money, or certain powers getting over...
Right, or like the election machines, you know, you click on one and it automatically clicks on the other.
Yeah.
I know that was a big topic this last couple of years. And
Yeah. Or some votes just weren't counted. And we don't want to get political on anyone.
No.
We don't believe, you know...
It's just in relation to overall conspiracy that it's out there.
Yeah. There's some sort of power is trying to take over everything else. That's what I believe.
Well, that's another thing I want to address too, is that a lot of the podcasts that I listen to seem very biased, and we want to remain as unbiased as possible.
And neutral. That's right.
And neutral. Just, we want to give people kind of, I don't want to say a safe space, but a podcast that doesn't have to...
conform or contort to their views. We don't want to say, you're going to listen to me and my things. We want to actually hear from you and what you think.
Give you a break from everything else that's going on in the world. Not have to discuss, you know...
A podcast for everybody.
Yeah. Just because I know, me personally, I've been listening to a podcast and they touch on a subject and it's just like, you know, I just don't want to hear about that right now. Just tell me about some murderers.
Yeah. That's why we want to hear about horror, not, you know, this.
This isn't a political podcast.
No.
It's a podcast about murder, conspiracy theories,
And ghosts.
ghosts.
And like, I eventually maybe like evil dark
Wow, it
carnivals.
makes it sound like my
or-
topic is just so like, it's just there.
What?
Murders, conspiracies, ghosts.
No, ghosts are big, man.
Paranormal, man.
Paranormal. So...
I can't wait to tell my ghost stories.
Or like,
I know, me too. I got some good ones.
like creepy carnival stuff, or like, you know, just anything horror wise. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
And I swear we're sane. None of us are murderers.
That got caught.
That you know of.
Shut up, Jeff.
They got caught.
You're next.
Oh, I love it. It's going to be a catchphrase. I know it.
Shirts for everyone. Not really.
What are you? Shut up, Jeff. See,
Don't make promises you can't.
It applies.
Back up.
If you know Jeff and you see him, you can tell him, shut up, Jeff. It's great.
All
It's
10
a lot
of
of
you.
fun.
As soon as
All
you shake
10
my
of you.
hand.
Thanks for all the 12 people that
Yes.
listened to our first podcast.
We really
Shout out
appreciate
to you
it.
guys. Mom, I know it was you. I love you.
Maybe
Thanks
my
for
mom too.
Thanks for
Maybe
listening
your
12
mom?
times.
So that's 3 out of 12. So
Oh.
our moms love us.
You just called your mom. Thanks, Shauna.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Shauna.
I don't know if my family listened yet.
Yet.
I mean,
I'm going to call them all tonight.
That's like 40 people.
I know Colt and Tina shared it.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people share it like right after you posted it.
Yeah.
That was
So
really
we're still
cool.
recording that. We're sounding so conceited.
Sorry. It was a-
No, we're just excited because, you know, we got
I
to...
can cut it out, dude.
For our first podcast, we got into a small double-digit
Yeah.
viewing and share, so that was really...
I could probably share it
Yeah.
too.
It's exciting. It is.
And we got a better mic. We invested some money in better equipment. So
But yeah. Anyway, if you
We
want
can
to know
sponsor
anything
ourselves.
about us, go ahead and ask us.
Yeah, send in your emails, questions, stories. See, there I am with the emails again. I'm so old-fashioned at this point, I think.
no, we have an email, so we have to talk about the email.
Okay, so I don't
Also,
feel
we have
as bad.
email and Twitter and everything else now, right?
So
gotta
yeah,
download
our
Twitter.
email is unitedstatesofhorror@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. It's US of Horror. And then our Instagram is United States of Horror, all spelled out. And so right now we're posting on Audioboom. We're trying to get our podcast on,
I do.
yes, iTunes and hopefully another platforms as well. So we'll just keep you posted and
Yeah, I think
Thanks
that
for
covers it
listening,
for
guys.
today.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you, guys.
appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
yeah, keep your suggestions flowing. Let us know what your thoughts are if you have a personal experience, if you were around, or if a family member was around during the Phoenix Lights time, or if you guys have personally come up to Prescott and visited the Hacienda Inn, let us know.
Yay, I was remembered.
Who are you?
What's your name again?
Brinton.
Jeff.
Kaylee?
And that's
We'll
what up,
cover
guys.
that next week. Thank you.
Goodbye.